This is Valley View News, and these are today's headlines. Swimmers and surfers are sharing the sand with trash from all over Los Angeles. Trump endorses making daylight saving time permanent, but do CSUN students?
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Kimberly Silverio.
And I'm Natalia Vivino. A USC student was shot and killed in a failed robbery attempt. The victim was Victor McElhaney. He was the son of Oakland City Council member Lynette Gibson McElhaney. She says her son's death was a senseless act of violence. Victor was a student of USC's Thornton School of Music. The shooting took place just after midnight yesterday. It was about a mile from campus. Police say several suspects approached the victim in what seems to be a robbery attempt. They fired at him and then fled the scene in a vehicle. McElhaney was transported to a local hospital where he later died. No suspect description is available.
Some San Jose residents have been concerned about a peeping man wandering naked around a residential neighborhood for several weeks. San Jose Police Department says they arrested Mark Vergey. The 60-year-old was captured on a surveillance camera twice walking nude to a house, knocking on the front door, and looking through a window in the middle of the night. The third time he was captured on camera, he was at another house knocking on the door wearing a purple dress with a cigarette. He's currently booked in Santa Clara County Jail facing multiple charges.
President Trump has unveiled his 2020 budget plan. Reports say the White House hopes for $2.7 trillion in cuts, but a clash with Congress is expected. New York Republican Tom Reed says they'll work to reach an agreement.
It's the president's vision as to where we need to go as a country under his proposed budget direction. Now, Congress is going to weigh in. We're going to go through the budget negotiations, and we'll prioritize in the House of Representatives, work with the Senate, and come up with a funding bill that reflects those prioritizations that I think we can agree upon.
This weekend, it was confirmed President Trump is now asking for $8.6 billion for a border wall. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi says it won't happen. White House officials say the national debt has nearly doubled to more than $22 trillion. Trump promises his plan will balance the national budget over the next 15 years. But the Democratic House is expected to resist his proposed cuts on education, health, and environmental protections.
Family members identified the body of the little girl discovered in a duffel bag in Hacienda Heights. Her name is Trinity Love Jones. Police say 2 persons of interest are being detained in her death. The suspected cause of her death was not announced. Police say more information will be released as the investigation continues.
Satellite images suggest that North Korea could be preparing to launch a missile or space rocket. Intelligence photos show activity at a facility in Sanamdong, while evidence from other areas point to a satellite launch. It's impossible to tell if North Korea is preparing a military missile or a commercial space rocket. President Trump says he still has confidence in his relationship with North Korea.
I would be surprised in a negative way if he did anything that was not per our understanding.
A State Department official says a third summit between Trump and Kim Jong-un is likely to happen, but no date has been set.
Cindy Yang, the founder of the Florida spa visited by New England Patriots owner Robert Kraft, has not only been taking selfies with President Trump. The Miami Herald says now Yang has been selling her Chinese clients access to the president. Yang posted a selfie with Trump at a Super Bowl party in the West Palm Beach Golf Club. She also posted pics on social media with other members of the president's inner circle, and her family has given thousands of dollars to the Trump campaign. Yang sold the Orchids Day Spa in 2013. Kraft was caught on surveillance tape visiting the spa in January. He's pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor charges of solicitation prostitution.
Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed this week in Ethiopia, killing all 157 people on board. It was a Boeing 737 MAX 8, the same type of aircraft involved in a crash last year. Some international airlines are grounding those planes. So far, there's no evidence the crashes are connected. U.S. Ambassador Michael Rayner says 8 Americans died in the Ethiopia crash.
True tragedies, and our hearts go out to everyone who was impacted by their deaths.
The Boeing 737 MAX 8 is a new model. It started service 2 years ago. U.S. airlines like American and Southwest say they're not grounding the planes. In Ethiopia, search crews have found the flight data and voice recorders.
The 2020 Democratic National Convention will take place in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Democrats chose the city even though Hillary Clinton became the first Democrat presidential candidate to lose Milwaukee in 20 years. The city beat Miami and Houston in competition for the convention. Experts think this choice is meant to show the importance of the region for Democrats in the 2020 race. The convention takes place between July 13 and 16 next year.
In one of the world's most dangerous and mysterious parts of the ocean lives a pod of orca whales. This whale has been talked about like a mythological beast, but fishermen have shared stories of their encounters. But now scientists have actually located the whales. The pod of 25 killer whales was found about 60 miles off the coast of Cape Horn, Chile, the bottom of South America. CSUN's marine research technician Danielle Barnes says these orcas have had to adapt to their environment.
Over an evolutionary standpoint, you're not seeing those differentiations that would classify it as a new species necessarily, but you will get those new phenotypes.
But researchers say the orcas are highly likely to be a new species. The whales look very different from other killer whales in the sea. They have a more rounded head and a more pointed dorsal fin. And unlike other orcas, these ones prefer slightly warmer waters. Killer whales are often found in polar regions. Barnes says these differences could be because of Darwinism.
Small random genetic changes that if they happen to be beneficial for the pod, for the group, they might persist.
The scientist took a skin sample from one of the new orcas. This will determine the exact differences from other whales.
A group of fishermen trapped on Lake Erie this weekend have all been rescued. Reports say large gusts of winds caused the ice to break apart, pushing the men from shore. The U.S. Coast Guard says there were up to 150 people stranded. They rescued 40 of them. The rest gathered their gear and walked safely to shore. Officials say no one was injured.
When people throw trash on the streets, it doesn't just disappear. Often it ends up going into drain pipes. California has gotten more rain than usual this season, and all that trash ends up in the ocean. Valley View's Angela Rose reports on an effort to keep street trash from washing into the Pacific.
6 weeks of rain has taken a lot of trash from LA's streets into the gutters. Clearly marked "Don't Dump," yet most of the trash still ends up here at Santa Monica Beach. The Surfrider Foundation brings volunteers together several times a month to clean up the mess.
We get an inch of rain in LA, that's about 10 billion gallons of water that rushes from the upper watershed into our storm drains and creeks and straight out to the ocean.
At Heal the Bay Aquarium, Director Jenna Siegel says ocean wildlife, including fish and birds, eat the trash that ends up here.
There are estimates that about 100,000 marine mammals and about 1 million seabirds are killed every single year.
Back at the beach, volunteers dump the trash they've collected into one large pile. They sort items they'll reuse, recycle, or throw away. But volunteers and staff leaders say the solution isn't how much they clean up, but how you consume products.
And see how they can maybe mitigate or cut out some of the things that they're using from things that they might be seeing in their communities and on our beaches.
While there are many beach cleanups going on to protect our ocean wildlife and our beaches, volunteers say that banning the use of single-use products is the way to go. Reporting in Santa Monica for Valley View News, I'm Angela Rose.
The Hindu celebration of Holi represents the coming of spring. It's a very colorful event, as Valley View's Sydney Gamino reports.
2, 1.
The Festival of Colors is a celebration of the Hindu tradition Holi. It involves throwing various colors at each other to represent the blooming colors of spring. Simran Davin says it's a great way to unite people of all cultures.
Even though it's supposed to represent a religious thing, you can see all different types of people are here because it's just fun to be a part of.
Every year, the festival brings in new people to celebrate the tradition. However, it's the warm and fun atmosphere that brings people like Olivia Miranda back every year.
I actually have been to one before at my school, and it was a lot of fun, and I like dancing around and throwing colors up, and the environment was just really friendly.
Not only does the festival celebrate the tradition of throwing colors, it also lets people enjoy other Hindu activities. They're able to do some yoga, enjoy some music, and try some new food. Mina Escueta says it's a unique way to learn a new culture.
I really love it. It's a great celebration. It's cool to see different people from different cultures celebrating this one thing.
Holi is celebrated until the end of March. The festival will go on for 2 more weeks across California before traveling to Las Vegas. Reporting for Valley View News in Northridge, I'm Sydney Camino.
Now here's Bridget Creamer with the latest in entertainment news.
This year's South by Southwest Festival is officially underway in Austin. The festival is known for merging film, music, and politics into a week of interactive celebrations. 50,000 people are expected to attend this year's event. CNN hosted a town hall at the festival over the weekend. Presidential candidates John Delaney, Tulsi Gabbard, and Pete Buttigieg spoke to the crowd. Buttigieg used his time to criticize Vice President Pence.
How could he allow himself to become the cheerleader of the porn star presidency? Is it that he stopped believing in Scripture when he started believing in Donald Trump?
The music portion of the festival kicks off today with the band The Texas Gentlemen. The weekend was full of love. Chance the Rapper married Kristen Corley, Leah Michele married Zandy Reach, and J-Lo got the biggest rock of them all after saying yes to A-Rod. Chance the Rapper and Kristen Corley, his childhood crush and the mother of his daughter, tied the knot in Newport Beach on Saturday. Chance says he met her when he was only 9 years old, and he knew then that he was going to marry her. Leah Michele and now husband Zandy Reach said "I do" in Napa. Also on Saturday. It was an intimate ceremony with close friends and family. And for the engagement that everybody has been hoping for, former New York Yankees star Alex Rodriguez popped his question to singer and actress Jennifer Lopez while they were on vacation last weekend. The ring is estimated to be worth more than $1 million. R. Kelly has been bailed out for the second time. Shortly after release, he said he will rise above.
I promise you, we're going to straighten all of this stuff out. That's all I can say right now. I promise you.
Anything to your fans? Anything you'd like?
I love my fans. Thanks for sticking there with me. Thank you guys for the order.
Kelly was indicted on a Class 2 felony for sexual assault against 3 underage girls and 1 woman. He also was charged with failure to pay $150,000 in child support. He pleaded not guilty to both charges. Now, new evidence was turned over to the law enforcement allegedly showing R. Kelly sexually abusing young girls. Kelly's attorney says there's no proof that it is Kelly in the videos. Justin Bieber has asked his fans for their prayers. He reached out via Instagram saying he's been feeling disconnected and weird. He also told Vogue that he's fighting depression since his Purpose tour in 2017. Bieber said he had dropped out of a week-long group therapy retreat. The singer also announced that he and his new wife, Hailey Baldwin Bieber, are in couples counseling. He says he is still processing so much that he hasn't even talked about. And now, Marvel fans across the globe showed up to the opening of the studio's latest release, Captain Marvel. The film opened with a staggering $153 million in domestic sales and $455 million globally. Also, this is the first time that Marvel has had both female lead and female director. Captain Marvel sales boosted this year's slumping U.S. box office totals. They were down 26% heading into Friday. Marvel Studios hopes to continue the box office dominance with the much-anticipated releases of Avengers and the Spider-Man sequels later this year. That's all for entertainment. Back to you, Kimberly.
The final home game of season's men's basketball was an exciting one. Valley View News reporter Tomas de Jesus has more on the game.
It was senior night and the last home game of the season. CSUN's men's basketball team took on the UCSB Gauchos. Fans filled the stands with excitement and reflection on the season.
This has been a very exciting season. I think Coach Gottfried and his staff have done an amazing job.
The environment's been really good. Like all the CSUN students, they had a lot of spirit. They've been cheering people on.
Once again, yet another close game. The Matadors were sluggish in the first half. They later found themselves climbing back from a 12-point deficit to regain the lead. Lamine Janae and Terrell Gomez had big nights again, but their efforts weren't quite enough as UCSB hit the game winner with 3.6 seconds left to go, beating the Matadors 76-74.
The game just comes down to a play or two, and we needed to get a defensive rebound and couldn't. That was the killer, and then the ball bounces right to that kid.
The Matadome was filled to the brim. Fans came to see their Matadors play for one last time, even if they lost. Senior Blair Orrs made sure to thank as many fans as he could.
Thank you for the support in times where we struggled, in times where it looked bleak. They stayed with us, and we're on the way up.
Even with the loss, the Matadors will find themselves competing at the Big West Tournament this Thursday. A tournament win will almost guarantee a spot at the Big Dance. This hasn't happened since 2009. In Northridge, I'm Thomas DeJesus, Valley View News.
More to come on Valley View News. A blackout in Venezuela leaves people without power in more ways than one. We'll have the latest with Claudia Flores.
And daylight saving time can be dangerous to your health. Students and experts weigh in. Stay tuned.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
Welcome back to Valley View News. CSUN's campus newspaper has been at work on a couple of stories.
Here's Sundial reporter Elliot Keegan.
This week on the Sundial, we're covering a story about the California State Assembly is passing a new bill that will require all CSU students to take at least one cultural studies course in order to graduate. It will also require all of the CSU schools to offer some sort of cultural or ethnic studies program. Currently, most of the schools do, with the exception of Cal State University Maritime Academy, which is the smallest school in the system with a little over 1,000 students. This bill is going to committee by the end of the month, and it should be up to a floor vote before the end of the year. You can find that story and more at CSUN Sundial. Back to you in the studio.
Now let's get to the latest on international news with Claudia Flores in the Valley View newsroom.
Venezuelan interim president Juan Guaido is calling the Venezuela electrical crisis a national state of emergency. Most of Venezuela remains without electricity for a fifth day, and Guaido reports 17 people have died. Guaido says 16 states have no electricity, 6 states have partial power, and the country's best hospitals remain without power. Guaido hopes Venezuela will receive international aid after his declaration. He believes Nicolás Maduro's government is responsible for the electricity crisis.
What is it like kilometers inside Venezuela where there hasn't been, or there has been very little gasoline, with periodic cuts in electricity, without basic goods, with inefficient public transportation? You can say with all responsibility that Venezuela has already collapsed.
Maduro has blocked international aid and says he believes the U.S. is responsible for the power outage. He says the country's electrical grid was hacked and sabotaged by the U.S. Schools and businesses remain closed. What began as a simple, peaceful march in Santiago de Chile turned out to be anything but peaceful. The International Women's Day March began in the city of Valparaiso. Close to the end of the march, demonstrators fought with police who shot back with jets of water and tear gas. At least 10 people were detained. Malaysian prosecutors have dropped charges against the Indonesian woman accused of killing Kim Jong-un's half-brother. Siti Aisyah was behind bars for 2 years on charges of using a deadly nerve agent to kill Kim Jong-nam. She says she was shocked to be freed. Prosecutors gave no reasoning behind their decision. The trial is expected to continue Thursday to decide whether the case against the second defendant will continue. Floods in Brazil killed 7 people, including 4 family members whose house collapsed. Officials made several rescues in Sao Paulo. The streets were filled with stranded and overturned cars. The late summer rains triggered floods and inundated several neighborhoods. Major roads leading to the city were blocked. Train and bus services were also cut in some areas. That's it for international news. Back to you, Natalia.
Now let's go to Christina to get the latest news on the flu and daylight saving.
The flu has killed more than 60 kids this year, and the season may not be over. 48 states have reported widespread activity, but hospitalization is less this year compared to last. The H1N1 virus has dominated this season. The CDC's Dr. Nancy Messonnier says it's late in the season, but not too late to get the shot.
We recommend vaccination every year to protect optimally against flu.
The CDC says everyone over 6 months, including pregnant women, should get the flu vaccine. A Canadian chemistry student has developed a light filtering coating for contact lenses for colorblind people. At a young age, Gabrielle Mazzoni lost vision in one eye due to her condition, amblyopia. She says there are many professions that will not hire colorblind people. She launched her own company, Colorsmith Labs. Scientists at St. Mary's University are helping her dream come true. The nanoparticle technology hasn't been tested on people yet. Colorsmith is close to completing the lenses, but the company needs a $1.5 million investment. Americans gained an hour of daylight and lost an hour of sleep. Daylight saving time was originally put in place to help people save more energy in the U.S. Some CSUN students say they enjoy the extra hour of daylight.
It just makes like everything better because your mood is better because like there's more like daytime. You feel like you have more like time to do whatever you need to do.
I take time to like accommodate for the time change. I'll sleep like an hour early, or if I feel like I might be stressed out, I've been on I changed my perspective on it mostly.
President Trump tweeted this morning he wants to stop changing the clocks twice a year. Some health officials say strokes and car accidents go up after the time change, but CSUN health professor Frankie Agustin says she thinks there's less traffic.
But my guess is that people drive maybe a little bit slower. I felt like we were just kind of moving in an even pace and not that really quick Monday traffic. So it was interesting because I was actually thinking about that today as I was getting to work, and I got to work a lot faster than I expected because there were less cars around.
George Hudson proposed the idea in 1895, but last November, Californians voted to keep a consistent time. That's all for health today. Back to you, ladies. Coming up on Valley View News, Elizabeth Warren wants to break up Amazon, Facebook, and Google if elected president.
Also, Elizabeth is the queen of Instagram. Stay with us.
Here's to the things that can keep us safe. Those we use all the time with hardly a thought. Those that are silently standing by to save our lives. And now, those that we carry with us everywhere we go. Many mobile devices will now bring you wireless emergency alerts, real-time information directly from local sources you know and trust. With the unique sound and vibration, you'll be in the know wherever you are.
You think getting dumped by text is harsh? Try getting dumped by a tennis ball. My ex-owner drove me out to the woods, yelled fetch, and by the time I brought the ball back, he was gone. Yeah, I was pissed. But the folks at the shelter helped me let go of my anger. I learned coping skills, like taking it to the hole. Boom! Now I'm ready to fetch again. But how about I throw and you run and get it?
Red shirt, blue shirt, yellow shirt. Oops. Yellow pants, red pants, green pants. Oops.
Welcome back to Valley View News. It's now time for technology news. Let's go to Esteban Reynoso to tell us more about Elizabeth Warren's plan to break up with the giant tech industry.
Texas Republican Will Hurd says if the U.S. is not a leader in artificial intelligence, the United States economy will fall behind. Hurd told CNN's State of the Union with Jake Tapper, AI is the way of the future, and even Russian President Vladimir Putin is predicting the same thing.
It's the future. Vladimir Putin said whoever masters AI is going to master the world. I think this is the only thing he and I agree on. And the ability to manage people's data, every industry is going to be impacted by artificial intelligence.
Hurd worked for the CIA for 9 years before being elected into Congress. Presidential candidate Elizabeth Warren says she wants to break up tech giants like Amazon, Facebook, and Google. The Massachusetts senator says the companies must be broken up to stimulate levels of competition. Warren mentioned the antitrust battle over Microsoft in the 90s as an example. She says as president, she would also try to reverse mergers that have already been completed. Queen Elizabeth is officially on the gram. Her Majesty shared a post on Instagram after visiting the Science Museum in London. The royal influencer's post is a letter from the Royal Archives written in 1843 to her great-great-grandfather, Prince Albert. The post was also shared on the royal family's account. A British bank is going to test the use of a new payment card with a built-in fingerprint scanner. The data is stored on the card, meaning there's no security information for a hacker to steal. The trial, which is set to begin next month, will allow its participants to make payments without having to input a PIN or a signature. Tesla will be raising prices on its vehicles after backtracking on the decision to close most of its stores. The car maker says prices on most of its models would go up around 3%. Tesla had previously said it would begin closing most of its physical stores to have customers buy vehicles online or over the phone instead. The newest Tesla Model 3 is currently priced at just over $40,000. SpaceX's Crew Dragon spacecraft successfully returned after nearly a week in space. The capsule designed to carry astronauts to the International Space Station landed in the water near Port Canaveral in Florida over the weekend. Your family and friends may not be the only ones checking on your Facebook or Twitter. The Trump administration is considering using social media to find out whether a person who claims to be disabled is doing activities that would not be possible if they were hurt. The Social Security Administration is trying to increase program integrity and filter out fraud. Critics say photos on social media may not provide reliable evidence of someone's condition. That's it for Technology and Business today. Let's go to Kimberly with a story about a neighborhood that built an 18-foot snowman.
Two families in Omaha, Nebraska decided to use the snow to build a huge snowman. They gathered their kids and some tools and built an 18-foot Frosty, complete with his own carrot for a nose, a beanie, and a scarf to keep him warm. It's expected to stay in the mid-40s in Omaha, so the snowman should live to see another day. Man, with that amount of snow, I wish I had a giant snowball fight.
That's all for us at Valley View News. Thank you for watching. I'm Natalia Vivino.
And I'm Kimberly Silverio. For news any time of the day, go to our website, sundial.cisa.edu. See you next week.